Welcome to Cranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Cranky, and this is the Cranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Cranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Cranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Cranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. What am I doing in the background, Star? I've got to change this. I've got to change this. I don't know what I do. See, if you rush to do show, you know. If you do rush to the show at all. Good night. Bless up, Joseph Brown. How you doing? How you doing, Joseph? How you doing? You must be wondering, what's wrong with Cranky? I'm passing bedtime. My StreamYard keep crashing. Actually, I probably should switch to from my Chrome, my Google website keeps crashing. So if you see me go in and out, it's crashed. It's been crashing all day. I've been using another website instead of using Google. I've been using Firefox for some other stuff. For my video I did today, I don't know why this thing keeps crashing. It just blanks out. People retired or have bedtime. All right, that should be better. I have to switch browsers. I don't know what's happening with my my Chrome, but it's crashing all day. And it just crashed a while ago. So let me just switch my my setting again. I have no idea what's happening. Maybe somebody infiltrated my system or something. It's been crashing all day. Bless up, Presser. Yeah, I didn't see any updates come through. Good night, the one, Joseph Brown again, Jeremy. I didn't see anything come through that says I need to update my browser, but I'll have to probably delete it and reinstall it actually. No, you're going to my system. No, you're going out of my depth now, Lee Young. Talk about turn off hardware acceleration. I didn't even know what the hell that means. So anyway, this is a quick show, people. And guess why we do this show tonight? I know, Tressa, right? But you notice that I was like a Jamaica commentator when he talks about issues. You notice that I took no sides, right? I was on the fence. I was leaning to Musk. I was leaning to Trump. I just put out some information. Good night, Hopeton Spalding. You notice I didn't take any position. I didn't say who was wrong, who was right. I didn't say anything about the bill. I just lay out the information. Bless up, Tough Rudy. I didn't take any side, so I shouldn't get beaten. People, I was going to come in and hit the like button and want people. If I come upstairs for late at night, if I drop a video, even though I know it's kind of late for some people, it's time for go to their bed. You know, Jason Guna normally does this. I wonder how he does it because he stays up late. This is not a long video. I promised to be. I said it was going to be 45 minutes to an hour. I would have done a video instead, but I realized that videos take much longer than live, which seems interesting actually. Bless up, Dr. Dan. But this video is about Steve McClaren's team choice. And it was prompted by a video I got. People, I'm telling you something, people. I'm in my bed. I'm relaxed. I'm taking a trip tomorrow. So I'm packing. And someone sent me a video that someone dropped today. And I read the video and I was like, you know what? I just need to do a video. Seriously. I mean, I have to do a video. So I decided to come do a video. So I'm glad you guys can join me at the drop of a hat. It's an impromptu show, but I'm glad that each of you are here. And while you're here, since we all got to put up with this late night stuff, just hit the like button when you come in. Because I'm sure, you know what? I forgot to drop the poll for this. Because you see, I was rushing to do this, people. I must have put this up in like 10 minutes to come up with a thumbnail and all that stuff. So I'm getting better at it. No, we ain't getting. They're not getting rid of him, so we're not gonna waste any time doing it. But I'm gonna incorporate in. I'm gonna incorporate, and you know what? The thing I have is not gonna show you now. I'm going to incorporate in my discussion the part of what was discussed in that video. And see, I can't even share the video now because that's why I hate this. If I pull the video up on Chrome, it shows. If I do it on Firefox, it doesn't show. So hopefully I have the verbiage from the video and I just play it. It's very annoying, actually, that happens. Because now I'm trying to pull up the video. Because I excerpted the video, something from the video to play, and now it refused to be pulled up. Not the video from the person, but another video. But I'll play it, actually. I'll find it and play it. So here's my view for coming on. Here's a rationale for coming on tonight. And it's not, as I said, it's not a long show. To discuss Steve McLaren's decision. And there are a lot of them that he's made which have been puzzling to me. Right? Puzzling. People as you come in, 40 people, 70 watching, 40 likes. Those numbers are not good. Especially when we come on this late to come talk to them. It's not good. Corbar said the poll is annoying, cranky. If you're going to like, they will. But you'd be surprised, Corbar, that the poll has worked. I have never gotten so much likes ever. So Corbar, it may be annoying to you. Just as you go in, just hit the. Oh, that's so miserable. Oh, that's so miserable. Hey, Corbar. Oh, that's so miserable. It's miserable. But they are big for likes, so you complain about one poll. We go in 2 seconds if you hit the button. But you hit like, no or yes, it go in 2 seconds. You complain, say 8 or 9. Rotted. How you think I think I feel when no I hit the button? How you think I feel when no I hit the button? Especially when me get up so late, come drop something. Boy, I may tell you, me not understand the cover. Me not understand at all. You think it's annoying. When me on night the hell out of going forward. Because when I hit the thing unless me drop the thing out there. All right? So then you have no excuse to say that you forgot because it was there in front of you. Bless up, Jeremy. Thanks for being here. So let me go over people. Every person who will come in this session tonight should hit the like button, except maybe one person. And there's a reason why I'm saying one person. Come here, beat tonight without calling name. So the question, the point I'm making is about Steve. I was watching a video the other day, and I think I said this on a previous show, whereby someone was saying that Steve McLaren is the worst manager in the history of England managers. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't gone through all the list of England managers. They haven't won the World Cup since 1966. So I'm sure there's been some bad ones along the way. But he's been viewed, because he didn't make was it one of the Euros in the 90s, didn't make, and he got fired after a year. And he's only won one championship at FC20. He's managed a number of teams and being assistants. But I'm not here to beat him, per se. I'm here to call out some of the decisions he's made, which are not good, and especially one decision, which I find is a problem. But I'm so mad that I have to use Firefox, which then is not playing my video, even though when I tried it just 2 minutes ago, and Chrome, it worked. But here are the decisions, some of the decisions that jump out to mind. The first one that come to mind to me that I really noticed was when we went to play the US. We need a midfielder. We spend thousands of dollars. Bless up Tycoon, thousands of dollars to bring Ravel from the Middle East to come. People calling for Ravel. and he didn't get 1 minute against the U.S. in the U.S. After we lost the first leg at home, and we need a midfielder with some composure and the ability to keep the ball. And that was upsetting to a lot of people. And I got JFF complaint about that. So I'm going to call that out. That they were very upset that they spent all this money to bring the player, because you must think that we're England or something, and the player didn't get no game time. So why even call the player in the first place? That's being irresponsible. We're Jamaica. We're not England. We ain't got all that money, right? We don't have the Premier League to have trickle-down effect, nor do we get money from tournaments like England does. So we can't afford to waste thousands of dollars paying for a player to fly that far. And frankly, I know Ravel was upset because I saw his face at the game, and the player needs to be upset. If you can call him on that window or that distance, he didn't have really better players on the field, and you gave him no game time. That was the first one that jumped out at me. But another one before that was, I remember CC asking the coach a question. And his question was, when we played the U.S. in Jamaica, we played, I think, a back three. When we played in the U.S., we played a back four. And his question was a good one, which is, don't you be defensive away from home and more offensive at home, right? Because back three is a more defensive lineup. Then you have that backwards. And people thought CC asked a terrible question, and they beat CC, and I'm laughing, thinking, it's a brilliant question, and it's a brilliant observation, and should be given the credit that it deserves to really observe that, right? What also jumped out at me was when we played the U.S. away from home, and when the U.S. was playing with an inverted, we did nothing in the game to counteract that. And I'm gonna give Speed some credit, right? Which people think I don't like Speed and I don't like Bailey. All these people they say I don't like. But I'm just calling out things that I see. So I watched Speed against Cibao from Dominican Republic, and I watched how he managed that game. I watched when his team was down, how he was so composed and calm on the sideline. He was making strategic decisions, and they came back to and a decision he made in the game to me was very impressive. He put a player on in about the 70-something minute and took him off 10 minutes afterwards because the player was having a nightmare. And some coaches would just try to let it go away, work it out. And I texted him afterwards and said, even though he and I were really communicating people, to be honest. So I'm the one who presumptuous text him to say it was a brilliant move, but don't lose the player. I forgot what he said back to me, right? But the point I was trying to make is him that could damage a player mentally and affect them throughout the rest of their career. You go on a championship game, you're in there for 10 minutes and you get taken out, that could be devastating. But it was the right decision to make at that time. It's only people like you see Jose Marino or what's his name, Conte, who makes those kind of decisions. Some coaches would just bite the bullet and say, you know what, we got to write it out. He didn't, which I thought was the right move because the player was having a stinker. Now, I haven't seen McLaren make any move to date that I walk away tactically, strategically, or selection-wise impressed with. And then he played low against BVI. Well, before he played low against BVI, when we select the pool of players for the Gold Cup, he selected two midfielders. I keep saying this over and over again. To me, that's unforgivable. Unforgivable. I would have fired him for that. Seriously. You don't, that's not a mistake. That's being inept. But the problem that he has is, which I've said numerous times, is he was a lazy hire and he's a lazy coach. So what do I mean by that? I don't think we did enough due diligence to hire a coach. I think we do it based on association. And him not putting in the work is the reason why he can't select the right players and don't even realize the balance of his team is all over the place. Right? Not having enough midfielders for a major competition which Jamaica needed money for and getting knocked out in the first round when we see Guatemala and Honduras in the semifinal is unconscionable. But playing low at CDM in the Gold Cup just solidify the view that he's inept. All right? And then last but not least, which is one of the reasons why I'm talking about this, is the Tyreece Campbell question versus Dixon. Now, here's why I analogize this item. It's almost like saying two people are playing for Arnett Gardens, or they're playing for Mount Pleasant, or they're playing for Cavalier. One is a starter, and one is on the bench, right? They both play wing. So one play left, one play right wing. They both got called for Jamaica because, Arnett and Cavaliers are brilliant teams. They have the best, two of the three or four best wingers. So they bring them in. And the guy who's on the bench, the person on the bench is the one starting over the person who is the starter all season and he really gets off the bench. And somebody's going to try to justify that. Now, the justification I'm hearing is that one plays right wing, one plays left wing, and one's going to come in for certain players, one's going to come in for other players, and certain players going to be in that position, and there's more than one substitute. So let me just play, if I can find it, because I'm going to play it live, what the coach says, because I asked that question myself, because I wanted the answer. You guys tell me if you can hear this. I'm going to try to get to the question, all right? This is a coach. So whoever's making up the perspective that is because they play different wings, here's what the coach said.
Hopefully,
right?
These are things that we need to
And what the coach says in answer to the questions to kill that whole argument about them playing different positions.
Bertram Spence, go ahead.
This is Cranky from Cranky Life. Coach, several of your selections and tactical decisions have raised questions about whether performances and merit are truly driving your choices, or if there's more of an emphasis on maintaining a so-called balance in the squad. Can you explain the specific criteria you utilize to assess players for starting roles, particularly in the case of like a Tyreece Campbell, who's been consistently performing at club level, but has been overlooked in favor of players at the same club with limited club minutes or inconsistent national team performances? Is there a transparent merit-based system in place? And how is that applied in cases like Tyreece non-selection?
I think you might be comparing Tyreece with Kaheim Dixon. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, we've been with the team a month, with the squad. We've been watching a lot of players, getting recruitment in place. The likes of Mothersill we brought in, and Tyreece Campbell, who we brought in for experience. Kaheim Dixon, in that instance, is someone we've known from the very beginning. Got a great move to Charlton. We followed his progress there. Speak to the manager regular about his progress. And he comes into the camps. He's a terrific trainer. And actually in the Unity Cup, Tyreece Campbell wasn't a part of that, Mothersill was, but we established Kaheim. We give him an opportunity. The same with Cephas, who's also not been a regular. And in the Unity Cup, they were absolutely excellent. The performances of Kaheim and Cephas were outstanding. And we want to do well in this competition. We have Damari Gray also, who can play on the left and plays on the left-hand side. And we've come to the Gold Cup wanting to win football matches, not to experiment and not to, Tyreece has come along as a newcomer. I think he got his citizenship a week before the World Cup qualifiers. And we've had an opportunity to see him in training. Unfortunately, because of the first result, we haven't had an opportunity. It's put a bit of pressure on winning football matches to progress. But what we're seeing in training is really delighting us with all the young players. Mikel will testify to that. The young players that we've brought in are really giving the senior players and the regular players real competition for places. And you're absolutely right, and it's a great question. And what we will do after this Gold Cup is we will really sit down and study and go, okay, what are the 15 or 16 players who are going to take us forward to the World Cup qualifiers? And what about the 6 or 7 who need to make up the squad? That will give that great balance to the squad that we haven't got too much. So players are really disappointed in not being on the bench. And with young players coming in, the enthusiasm, Kaheim Dixon, Tyreece Campbell, Warner Brown, Roman Burrell, they did really well in the Unity Cup. They're doing really well in training. And for the 3 camps that we've had, Unity Cup, World Cup qualifiers and the Gold Cup, we've had players coming and going, and we've changed every time. This is an important tournament. We want to win tomorrow. So I must put a team out there that I think will win the game.
We'd like to thank Coach McLaren and player Michael Antonio.
So let me just say this, people. So let's put that to rest about the rationale for one playing and one not playing. Let me also follow up with that point to say this. The coach said a couple of things. One is he didn't want to experiment, which means I don't know Tyreece Campbell, even though I have him in the team. So why you brought him in? Didn't you review him? Didn't you assess him? Didn't you see him play? See him playing in England where you are for the longest. He's on TV. They got videos that I've watched, which are videos, not live games sometimes, that I went back and watched just to make sure I see how he is. So what the hell is that about? That makes no sense to me. Secondly, we played Panama. We're getting our butts kicked. He had a chance to come into the game to look at him. He didn't get a minute. You put Dixon in late in the game. We ain't going to win that game. What are you talking about? So, bless up, Marlon. The idea and perspective that you're putting forward for us to buy into, which we're not buying, is that it would be an experimentation. You know Dixon. And look, people, somebody's going to take this as a dig against Dixon and cranky bashing Dixon. This has nothing to do with Dixon. It has to do with the coach making decisions. We have seen Tyreece play. I'm not saying Tyreece is the answer, but I'm saying if you look at this as an objective person, as a logical person, because we seem to like to throw logic out the door, like people who believe in Jesus. Anyway, let me not go down that road. We think because if I mention that, I get my head bashed in, even at home, people, like killed. And I'm like, I'm bored with that. But anyway, let me move on from that because that a topic I can't win. People, 64 likes, 68 likes, 147 people. Come on, people, change that. People, I'm a very logical person. And when I listen to this coach, it's not logical. And it bothers, you know, like somebody putting a knife in you and turning it. When you see people not being logical, it's like killing you. And even though you want to like look the other way, you can't because you're a slave to logic. And maybe they're a slave to something else. It's difficult. All right? It's agnostic. Being agnostic is very logical. It's different from, if we can go down that route. If we can go down that route, I'm telling you, you don't want to go down that route. Well, he brought him in for experience, but he gave him no experience. Oh, the experience is watching. I thought experience in football was playing, people. You brought him in for experience. You gave him no experience. You said you didn't want to experiment, but you brought him in for experience. So why you brought him in if you didn't want to experiment and it's for experience? Don't we see how we're talking around in circle, people, and the logic just kills you or lack thereof? It's crazy. And then you not want to experiment. People, listen to the logic, people. He doesn't want to experiment. And he played busy in the 10. Right? He played busy in the 10. And it's not to be busy. And Busy didn't really play before for Jamaica in a game, in a competition game. He played in friendlies, right? In Trinidad, he played in the Unity Cup. And even when he played in Trinidad, he wasn't a standout. So how do you get to know about Busy? And we know Tyreece. The reason why Tyreece wasn't at Unity Cup is because he was playing in the playoffs to go to the championship from League One. And you know this. So the idea, the illogical idea that you're putting forward about him needing experience, thank you, Peter Mystic. And so you brought him. The fact that you said you didn't want to experiment, but you brought him in for experience. The fact that they play at the same club and one is far ahead of the other in terms of where they are, and it's not Dixon's fault. He went there late, right? So we'll see how he progresses. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And right away, he and Antonio knew what was asking, the question, right? They knew exactly what was asking. Because I'm sure he probably was discussed in the camp, Graham. Sure it's discussed in the camp. Yes, I heard the thing about tactics, or tactics, as you call it. I heard about tactics and, yeah, I don't know. I'm dated and he's dated, but he think he's more dated than I am. So I think I have more logic than he does. Oh, Lord. Let's not go down that road. I'll just say this on that one point, logic. Hey, logic. Why you name logic if you're going to ask me that question? Your name is a contradiction if you ask me that question. Hey, logic, your name is a contradiction if you ask me that question. I'm going to get beaten tonight, people. Because that's what happens when you get up late. You're in your bed before you take your ass to bed, like I should have. You come out doing shows, and then you go down a path you shouldn't have. You go on a tangent, and then you're going to get beaten for going on a tangent in a very sensitive subject. Here's my problem with that, your question, logic. I don't believe an omnipotent being has any preference in terms of people. And I heard Ted Cruz interview, go listen to it, where he said he wanted to support people from Israel because almost like they're the chosen ones. Go jump off a goddamn bridge about chosen. Ain't nobody chosen nothing. If an omnipotent being who's not human, is impartial, is fair, is all encompassing, is everything, is righteous, then it cannot have preferences. You can't have favorites. It makes no sense because you're the one who made these individuals, or you know who they're going to be made. So why would you have preferences if you know the outcome for the outcome happens? Or maybe that's illogical. Maybe that's illogical. I don't believe there's any goddamn, I shouldn't say that because I'm going to get beaten at home because I'm telling you people. When I mention anything around this topic at home, I get destroyed. And I understand because people are very afraid of the unknown, and they probably should be. But I think it's because we as people believe we're more important than we are to the universe. We have this misconception that we're important because we're the dominant species on Earth. And then we start realizing that this universe is infinite, some people are saying, infinite. And we don't even know where it starts and where it ends. So, oh Lord, here we go with excuse. Busy was playing in the sky and 10 men were on the field. Busy didn't know where the hell he was playing. Busy was just on there taking up space. Let's be honest. Reggae Boyz, vlogger, if you want to be honest. Busy was just on the field. Lost as you know what. That's why he came off at the halftime. He was lost. He shouldn't have been put out there. It's unfair to him because he's a winger. He's not a midfielder. We only went to the tournament with 2 designated midfielders. Bobby Reed was out, Hayden was injured, and Busy not a midfielder. So only Russell we went there with, and Palmer. And Palmer got suspended for a game. It was a mess. Any coach who do that should be fired. Any coach who does that should be fired. And I was told that was going to be discussed. Didn't you hear Speed say when he's on the radio program? Say he's going to discuss that with the coach? And my question to, why didn't Speed discuss that before with the coach? Why didn't the president discuss it with the coach? Why did anybody in the JFF say to the coach, you know what, coach? The midfield shot, if we on YouTube can notice that right away, people. Where are all these experts? Because I was told I'm a football done, so we know nothing about football. Why didn't all these experts realize this? That we were totally unbalanced, even though we wanted a balanced team on the field. Concept of balance is misplaced. So you get a balanced spot on the field, you're trying to get a balance between local and diaspora. It's crazy. I don't think anybody's forcing the coach to do anything. I think he does what he wants to do. God is God. Jesus is his son. Let's leave it at that. You know something? If I was God, I'd be offended by these people that I make believing that I have a son and the son is like them. Like, who the hell do you think you are? You have to be out of your, you have to have the biggest ego ever as a species to believe that an omnipotent being who made you, that you're saying that his son is one of you. You have lost your you-know-what mind. You're out of control with your arrogance and your self-indulgence and whatever else you want to call it. You're out of your mind. That's why logic escapes me. For human beings to believe and have the audacity to believe that an omnipotent being who is everlasting made them, and they said their son, and they believe somebody who wrote, and a man wrote that, because only man would have the audacity to do that, you know. Woman wouldn't even do that. Woman would be more humble and say, you know what, we just don't know. Only a man would go write some book and say that. Killing me. But anyway, let's go back to football, because we're going to have a long, you know what? Hey, pastor, wait, Langsley Blake, Dennis Blake, make some time. We're going to have the conversation. I'm there now. Langsley Blake, let's make some time, Langsley Blake. You're a pastor. Let's have the conversation on this channel. We got to do that. On my Balance View channel. I shouldn't do it on this one. We got to have the conversation. I'm getting tired of people trying to logicalize. I'm creating a name, making logic something which is illogical. Yes, Jeremiah, I need to do that. I was too busy doing Reggae Boy stuff to do that. People, I know some of you won't like this conversation, but let me get the likes up to 100. Now, give me 100 likes. We have about 84. Give me 100 likes. Give me 100 likes. It's late, you know, people. 10:46. I came out here late. I put the show together in 15 minutes. I didn't think through it. I didn't jot down notes because I plan, you know, I plan to try not to fail. So I plan for these shows, and tonight I really didn't plan. It's an impromptu show. So show me if you like it or not. Cranky. Oh, you look so young. I don't know. They have some, you know, they have some setting in that. Let me just tell you a couple of things. All right, let me just take off the thing. It's my real look. Let me take off one thing. They're on YouTube, but I still look the same. I don't know. See me have a beard now. You wouldn't say me, why? You look, yeah, you wouldn't give me another thing for the look. Yeah. Give your life to Christ. Is Christ Jewish? Let's go there, people. Oh, no, I go there. Make me go there. Is Christ Jewish, Jason Gunner? Is Christ a Jew? Is he Jewish? Can you give me because you skip me comment. Which comment, Team Aggressive? I'm not comment. I look for Team Aggressive. Anyway, I look for your likes. Let me try to find it. Oh, here it is. Cranky. The coach said we select 16 players and 7 players will be added to make up the team. No. What he said is that he's going to have 16 core. I think that's what he's saying. He's going to have 16 core players, and then he's going to find maybe there's space for like 7 players, whatever. He's going to sit down and figure out the 16 core and then figure out the next 7 to make up the 23. I think that's what he's saying. I don't think teams should be picked like that. You pick the players who inform and the best players for your team. And I think if you go recruit, he's going to get about 7 or 8 players, frankly. Let's see what Reggae said. Anybody who are trying to criticize people for their belief, ego is too big, nobody knows. What do you mean? Christians criticize people for their belief all the time. Muslims criticize their belief. Everybody criticizes each other for their belief. And for you to say that is hypocritical and nonsensical. People are trying to force you upon your belief. They want you to say prayers in school. They're forcing their beliefs on you. And you talk about anybody criticize, they mean the whole governments are terrible. That means in most countries of the world, governments are horrible. People force their beliefs on you. They force you to go to church. They force you to have prayers in school. What are you talking about? You trying to call me out that my ego is too big? Finally, you're the wrong person I talk to, you know. My ego is my ego. Everybody has an ego. If you don't have one, that's your problem. I call it confidence. And you got to put this, and I tell my neighbor just the other day, when he's very shy, I said, the reason why you're shy, because you haven't expanded your horizon. If your knowledge base increased significantly, you wouldn't be shy. Because you'd have confidence when you go out there to engage with people and be able to discuss most subjects. Not every subject, but most subjects. If you think I have a big ego, because I'm going to question people's belief, your belief get questioned every day. You don't believe in MAGA, and you get shut down in the U.S. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're trying to be so smart and so intellectual and so intelligent with your comments and your question. You're showing up yourself. But it's reverse psychology you're playing. I love it. Let's have the conversation. We can have the conversation. Keep typing, because you can't show your face. The day you show your face, the day you get beaten, and real beaten. But I'm going to have Langsley Bay come talk about it, because I just said, I don't care if whoever's want to be Christian. I have no problem you being Christian, Muslim, whatever you are. But the Arawaks didn't know of Jesus. The Incas didn't know of Jesus. You know how many races and how many people and tribes didn't know of any Jesus? So are they all going to hell? What are you guys talking about? That's logic, Reggae Boyz vlogger. So if you think I'm being arrogant by expressing logics and by expressing something which should be known, that's your problem, not problem. All these tribes and all these races and all these groups have their own God. A lot of them ain't got no Jesus. Somebody go make up this Jesus stuff to make their race look good and come up with that nonsense, and you guys buy into it. That's if you want to buy into it, that's your thing. But it's not logical to me. So don't force me, like some of my family members try to do. If I went to my sister and talk about this, she'd probably trying to throw something at me. She's thinking I'm losing my mind. I grew up like her, same environment, same household, except after a while, I start questioning things. And the deity who made me must realize that I'll be questioning things as they would have made me. They wouldn't allow me to do so. That's nonsense. You go in the US, all the Muslims get bastardized. The mayor get bastardized by the president. They call all the Muslims, they're terrorists or whatever it is. You live in your own world, Reggae Boyz, stay in there. talking nonsense. If you tell me to go, I got to pray in school, you're forcing a religion on me. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're trying to make this about me. It ain't about me. You can make it about me all you want. Go look in the mirror because you ain't got no sense if you think so. Yes, I'm saying that. You ain't got no sense if you think so. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're taking this into a place I probably shouldn't go because I know how sensitive it is. Point I'm making is this, is that you should always challenge everything that you're presented with. You may not be able to explain certain things, but you should always challenge it. When you challenge something to the point where it becomes clear to you and explainable, that's a great thing. I know. I mean, when you think it's the people who think they're so smart, because you know what? Why come to an environment and criticize the host when you're hiding all the time? You're hiding, you want to be seen, you're behind your typewriter. At least I'm putting myself and exposing myself out there. So you want to call me egotistical? You want to call me arrogant? Whatever you want to call me, that's your prerogative. It is what it is. But at least I'm putting myself out there. Put yourself out there. You're that smart. Go run a channel. Let people see who you are. But you can't because you have to hide. And that's what the CIA does and all those organizations do. They're covert. They hide, destroy countries, destroy lives. And people who go covert, I like when people are out in the open. I like Trump. Some things I like about Trump. At least we know who he is. We know who he is. He ain't hiding. He's telling you exactly who he is. He ain't pretending. He's a vindictive, vengeful person who hates a lot. And he goes after enemies and frenemies quite a bit. Go watch my video I dropped earlier today. Because Elon Musk and why. Yeah, people, go. All of you who are here, go watch that video. I dropped a video on the Musk-Trump feud this afternoon. And that's why I don't like doing videos, because it takes a while to do those videos. People think it just take 2 seconds. I was talking to Gunners about that. Videos take too long. Sometimes you make mistakes in the videos. You're like, you know what? I have some agreement failures in there. I'm like, I ain't changing it. I'm not even putting any wording over it. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm tired. That's why I don't do a lot of videos, because it takes too much time. J-Ross says, how do you think the Bush was able to convince Americans to give up their freedom to fight the war on terror? Yeah, there's a lot that's happening in the world. A lot of times it's about material stuff. Iraq war was about oil. And people don't know, people go read the history of Iran. How Iran got to when the Shah was overthrown. Who was before the Shah? And how did that person get kicked out of power so the Shah could get power? It was all about Iranian oil. Iraq, Iranian oil. Libya got destroyed because we want to impose our type of government on them. And they're now a minefield and a state like worse than Haiti, for Christ's sake. Crazy. So it was a cranky, you're free to live in the US and practice what you believe. The problem comes when you want ultimate. We're not as free as you think you are. That's the misconception people have in certain society. You can't say certain things. You go say something against a certain race in New York and you get canceled. You may be free in certain respects, but you're not as free as you think you are. Trust me. You either get covert or overt pressure to destroy you if you talk anything about a certain group. That's a fact. Go look at APAC and what they do in the US. When Tucker Carlson was saying they should be registered as a foreign lobby group, basically, because they lobby on behalf of one country. Not rocket science. But no, they get to lobby as domestic, even though their whole purpose is their supposed home country. Crazy. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, we're not as free as we think we are. Well, we used to be much more freer. That freedom is getting eroded every single day. What year did Israel form? Supposedly, well, the Jewish state, as we know it now, was 1948, right? And if you go back to in the late 1800s, the whole Zionist movement and the decision made in Europe, because Europe is the one caused all this problem, you know, and keep the Palestinians off their land. But we won't go into that whole history of that region. But that region has been beset by Western powers who have been trying to manipulate and do what they want, supposedly their interests. Because oil has been a great thing for the Middle East and a worse thing for the Middle East. I'm telling you. bad and good, or good and bad. But then again, it didn't spare Africa. They don't have a lot of oil, and they still get, you know. I think some of these African leaders get killed. They just get killed because people have a uprising, or just somebody behind the scenes orchestrating their demise. It's clear. DC said, that's what my Guyanese friend worries about, the country, the oil, and the tension between Guyana and Venezuela over territory. Yeah, that's the least of their problem. In Guyana, they should look at who's drilling their oil, how much money they get out of it. I've had conversations with people from Guyana about the situation. It's an American oil company making the money from that situation. And then they have the old Indian black situation there, which is never good. So that you can divide and conquer, which they normally do. All right? Divide and conquer. You know, we come here to talk football and then we go into politics. That may not be too good for me, actually. May not be too good. But look, I didn't plan to stay long. I'm gonna go back to the football where I get some beaten. But the religion thing, I have to have the conversation, people. I need the conversation. So if you're a pastor out there, Langsley Blake, if you're hearing me, we gotta have a session. We gotta have a session that talks about this. The whole deity, Jesus, religion. And I'm not as informed about religion as I probably should be. Because I stopped going to church real early in my life for different reasons. But I grew up in Christian household. I wouldn't even call it Christian. I would call it zealot household, frankly. And Jamaica has supposedly more churches per capita than any other country, right? Which aligns really well with how the country operates. Really interesting. It's a total opposite. Yep, they did. It did. And England has responsibility for that too. Yep. And Palestinians still have titles to their land, which was never there. That's why you heard, what's his name, Coates come out the other day, say he went there and how these people are second-class citizens, and he had more rights than them, even though they're supposed to be citizens. Logic said, Cranky, you missed my... Wait a second. Logic, Cranky, you missed my question, equating Jesus' love for us based on how our children respond. I'm not suggesting that any group is chosen, but we maybe... Look, the Bible is a brilliant book. It has a lot of goodness to it. Also a lot of killing in it, frankly. A lot of contradictions in it. Solomon was the wisest man. Didn't Solomon have a lot of wives? The whole Philistines and the killings and the justification of the killings, and you can kill because you're righteous. When man wrote the Bible, he sure knew how to manipulate people. And people believe it. And I believed it for a while until I became what I call logical. What do you mean? No, Maxwell, that's not true. There's some brilliant religious people out there. Problem they have is when you start talking about believing, which means you doesn't know, which doesn't kill the argument, right? If you believe, that means you don't know, which then means you're in a difficult position. And by the way, I'm not saying there's no God, but I don't believe in Jesus. That's all I'm saying. Because I've said this before, life is logical and life is illogical. Life is both to me. The concept of life is illogical, but when since I'm on this earth and what happens around me, they're very explainable. The only thing that's not explainable is life itself. Doesn't make any sense. Come on, J. Ross. I am J. Ross. That's an interesting one. The MAGA people equating Trump to King David would turn many off from reading about. Yeah, and then we start conflating race with religion and race with dominance and race with the whole concept of who is the chosen race. And then we go into Ted Cruz, who you think is a very smart person, who went to elite universities, come on and said something. People go watch a Ted Cruz interview. Jesus. I was going to do a reaction video to it, you know. I should have done the reaction video. My head spun when hearing this man talk. My head spun. I can't believe he's a senator of the United States. The funny thing about it is people in Europe have little respect for a lot of Americans' intellect. Little respect for it. Even the Americans who are well educated. People in Europe just don't. People in Europe, when you talk to them, and not everybody obviously, but a lot I talk to, the man on the street is very logical, and sometimes very knowledgeable about the world. And maybe when you're number one in the world, you're not as concerned about the rest of the world. You really don't care. And that's why the U.S. the role they sit, but it's not good. Yeah, supposedly. So they tell us. Look, man is a conqueror, right? The fact of the matter, we're supposed to be more civilized now. That's the thing, people. We somehow, and a lot of Caucasians do this actually. They would say way back when it was how things were. We're more civilized now, but actually we're more uncivilized now than we were before, because we're dropping bombs on people's head that's killed tons of people, incinerate them, and we think that's more humane. If you really think about it, it's much more inhumane than humane. Yeah, he said he went to politics to support Israel. That's why he went to politics to support Israel. And one of the main things when he went in Congress to do is support Israel, because Israel is almost the concept they started the chosen race and they're God's people in a sense. That's what he was sort of alluding to. And you sit there, the student says, "Then what am I? What are we? If those of you are here who are not of a certain race and a certain creed, I mean, what are you?" Well, we know where we sit in that whole hierarchy. No, I do have another channel. It just don't have enough people on it. It's only have 290 something. You know what, people? If each of you go onto my Balanced View channel and subscribe, I can get to my 1,000. I get to my 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 likes, so I can monetize the channel. So I have 167 people in the chat. Most of you haven't subscribed to Balanced Views. If you go, it's BALANCED VIEWS. Actually, I dropped my Trump video on it today. Go on there and subscribe, people. Get me to 1,000 so I can stop bringing these things to a sports channel. But I mean, I ain't doing no more free show. Even though I get about $1 per hour. I ain't doing no more free show. That's why I put Balanced View on. But I'm gonna do more. By the way, I've said this before. My website is dropping by July 15th. If I can learn how to do the backdoor stuff for it. So I have a website. I'm gonna drop July 15th. And a lot of my Balanced View and Cranky Life stuff will be. It will link to my website. So. Must be said any part about Jordan will, or this eventually happen, hence the debate is over. Yeah. I think people make up a lot of stuff. Must have been Maxwell. Gentiles. Okay. Are you a MAGA person, Jay? Hey, Jay, are you MAGA? DC says I'm not on Instagram, Facebook, or WhatsApp. All I read, you got to be on WhatsApp, DC. Come on, DC. You got to be WhatsApp at a minimum. I never used to be on social media for years, And in hindsight, I said, you know what? I was being seasoned. And I have friends who are very seasoned people. Well, I should say senior people who are like doing, in certain environment, live certain lifestyle. They don't do social media. They protect themselves. I've decided that, you know what? You have one life to live. I'm going to do it. Jay said, doesn't anyone can accomplish great things? We are all imperfect. What is your point? How does this equate to Trump? Uh-oh. So we're taking on Dean. Oh, you don't do meta? Okay, so I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I can understand that too. Because all those billionaires have become slave to Trump. All of them. Bezos, Zuckerberg, all of them become slave to Trump. All of them. It's a tough thing to fight. But maybe they're just going up. Bless up Vinsky. Maybe they're just doing what is expected. Is this a sports discussion or what? We had a sports discussion already, Paul Edwards. Paul Edwards, it's an impromptu show. You came late. We digressed the conversation into something else. We're going to finish off with sports, though. Because I know Paul Edwards is going to beat me. Because he does this really well, actually. He and, Football Guru changed his name to something else. Winston Rodney, how you doing, sir? Okay, we're not doing any more religion. Because Paul Edwards just tell me I should come back to earth. I need the original one. So I'm gonna do people. I said this before. Each of you on the chat tell you, especially the individuals who like to talk about current events, things like religion, criminal justice, please go on my Balanced View channel. Balanced View, not Balanced View. There's a D at the end. And please subscribe to the channel. I should see at least 30 subscription by end of the night. I want to get to my 1,000 subscription and 4,000 viewing hours so I can monetize the channel and use it because I ain't doing no free show. Even though I don't beg you for super chats, because I don't like to beg that way, I prefer people with money to pay me, because you may say you don't have no money to pay me. YouTube have money, they can pay me. They make a ton of money from different people. The point of discussion tonight was about the coach and his decision-making or lack thereof, and the fact that when I go through his history of decision-making, I am not impressed. And part of the genesis for this discussion tonight, which I talked about before, was the fact that someone sent me a video tonight, someone talking about the rationale for playing Dixon over Tyreece Campbell, and I thought that made no sense. 0 sense, to be honest. No, I shouldn't say that. It's not that it made 0 sense. I just disagree with it. I shouldn't say it made 0 sense. I just disagreed, and good point, Paul Evans. I just didn't understand why the coach says he brought the player here for experience and gave him no experience. He says things sometimes. I wonder if he knows what he's saying sometimes. Okay, so Paul Edwards just said I should drop the link. I dropped the link, people. Just click on it, go over there and subscribe. Trying to get to my 1,000 subscribers so I can bifurcate this channel into just doing sports and not conflate it with other things that I talk about, which I like to talk about. All right, so please go over there and subscribe. That's me having another 100 subscribers tonight for my 297 to like 397. I'm gonna spend more time doing it so I can get to that 1,000 subscriber base because it's gonna be more popular than this channel eventually. Actually, I think given that things like the Diddy trial I want to talk about, things like the Ted Cruz, the interview with Ted Cruz, the one I did today on Trump and Musk. I love to talk about those things. It's good discussion topics. Rich Toy, I already subscribed. Thank you, Rich Toy. I appreciate it. But no, I mean, you guys can tell me, am I way off base when I talk about the coach, or do you agree with some of my perspective that the coach is making what I call head puzzling decisions? Like scratch head decisions? That makes no sense to me. And I think part of the reason why he does that, because he hasn't invested in the country and he hasn't invested in the program. Of the 302, that means I've had about 5 subscribers tonight. People can do better than that. Just drop the link. Just go over there and subscribe. It's not going to kill you. I'm sure at least half of you in this chat have not subscribed to the channel. Thank you, Santini. Appreciate it. Because I expect the channel to blow up eventually. That channel I expect to blow up. This one not going to blow up. That'll blow it down. But I want to expect to blow up. Just give the topics I intend to cover. But I don't want to confuse the two channels actually in terms of what I cover. What do you mean? Go look it up. Go look it up. Go look it up. Go look it up. I'm not going to say it. People, I tell my neighbor this nowadays. Whenever you read or you hear a word that you may not know the meaning, and this is not calling you up, Mustman, I said you go look it up right away. Don't let it pass you. Right? Let it pass you. Just think about what is the person talking about, and does the word equate to what they're talking about? Right? So if I say I'm going to bifurcate the two channels, then it should tell you what that means. If I'm saying I don't want to talk sports, I don't want to talk social on this channel. I don't want to talk social on this channel. I want to talk about criminal justice on this channel. I don't want to talk about the technology on this channel. I just want to talk sports. Everything else I want to talk about the other channel. I know you're joking, Mustwin, but I'm just saying, I know you're joking. Seriously, I know he's joking. But I'm just saying it's lessons learned that I tell my nephews and niece. If you're reading a book or if you're listening to something, somebody uses a word you don't know, go look it up. Look up the word, how to spell it, look up the meaning. That's what I was taught when I was growing up. And so then next time, hopefully you remember what it is. So it increases your vocabulary. At the same time, you learn what the meaning is. So all the people who are here are already subscribers. So come on, you have 200 and if I get 3,000 people watch my video or 2,000 and only 300 subscribers, then somebody not tell the truth. Somebody not tell the truth. Sorry. But look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to stay much. Actually, I don't plan to stay long. I'll say a couple of things. One is this. My hope is that all the fans with the Reggae Boyz will continue to do so with the view that we're in an emergent situation. I think the coach feels the emergency. I can sense that he feels it. But I thought he felt after the U.S. game, I don't think he made the effort like he should to really get to know the team. Else he would be making certain decisions that he made. And also people are saying the coach need assistance. He has 2 assistants. He has Merrin Gordon, and he has Trevor Sinclair. Trevor Sinclair played for England. I think I remember him playing at the 2002 World Cup. He played for Man City. He was an England international. I'm sure he probably didn't coach his badges. And Merrin Gordon's been an assistant forever under different coaches. So he has assistants. It is a balanced view. Very balanced view. Very balanced, MF. I wonder what MF mean. Devon, I can't even touch that one. I'm not touching that one, Devon. Peter Mister, I'm okay with the coach. I think he needs the proper tools and people around him. I would be happy if Merrin is no longer there. So, Peter, justify the coach. Why are you happy with the coach? What have he done? Okay, here's the people. If you say you're happy with something, you got to explain why you're happy with it. So, Peter, you know what? I wasn't taking a phone call tonight. Peter, you can call me and tell me why you're happy with the coach. I need to understand why you're happy with him. Hugh says the coach is a liability. If you haven't hit the like button, people, please do so. D says it bothers you, doesn't it? You tried to come at me and my question. Oh, it's for somebody else. Okay, there's somebody else that's meant for. That's not meant for me. Is it true he's losing the dressing room? I hear that's being said, but I don't know if he's losing the dressing room. I hear some players are not happy about certain things, right? I heard the Tyreece Campbell situation people are not happy about, or they're not happy with the rival situation. There are a number of things. But you never have total harmony in any dressing room. The players who are not playing are normally unhappy. That's how sports is. That's how life is. The players who are not playing, if they're happy, I'll be surprised. Why would you be happy you're not playing? The question is, are you disruptive? You can't make this up, people. You can't make this up. Reggae Boyz, you go from one thing to the next, don't you? You just the Gold Cup wasn't important. Go tell that to the JFF. Go tell that to Ricketts. Go tell that to Rudolph. Go tell that to all of them. That it wasn't important. That they weren't looking forward to that money that the Gold Cup would have provided them. Given that for the last few years they've either made the semis or the quarterfinals. Go tell them that. Tell them it wasn't important because they have tons of money. I know different. I know there's finance. In fact, I don't say that. Rudolph said it on LSM program. He said that there's financial implications to not making it. And I know more than what he's saying about that. There are significant financial implications to making it. So anybody tell the Gold Cup wasn't important, they're lying. Literally lying. Well, I think, Dre, the assistant concept is two things. One is you may have assistants, but do you respect them? Do you respect their opinion? You should only get an assistant who you believe is going to bring something to you that you may not, but they may be cover up for your weaknesses or help mitigate some of your weaknesses. They will probably challenge you. They should have what they call in corporate effective challenge. That means you have somebody in a role who you know, who you respect, who maybe can see things that you may not have seen, who may be aligned with your thoughts in some respects, but will challenge you if they need to do. And the challenge will be such that your decision you're making, you may change your decision because of what they suggested and what their perspective is. So you want to have effective challenge. So you need people around you with that skill set to help. I don't know what he does, because if we keep saying that he needs an assistant coach and the one is not enough, and we're saying that Paul Simpson was going to come, and then we had that Paul Simpson, the US took him away, but then somebody told me something different about Paul Simpson, which I'm confused about as to why Paul Simpson didn't come. But anyway, he's not here. Right? He's not here. McLaren was just trying to please everybody and then please nobody. The JFF aren't the players. The players are more intelligent to know which competition are the most important. That's not up to the players to decide. That is not in their purview. Their purview is, you know what? Go out and play your best. That's all you've been asked. For the fans, for yourself. The players ain't got no choice. They just said, who are the players to be thinking about what's important? I don't think the players think that way anyway. But who will be those players that think about what's important? In fact, most players don't think that way, actually. They want to win. Most players who work their salt want to win. Devin says, I think that the gaffer should be left alone to select freely the players he carry out the job at. So are you saying there's interference, Devin? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying the coach doesn't select the team of his own volition? He doesn't have the ability to select his own team? I was told differently by a very good source. I was told contractually he's able to select his own players. And why would any coach want to select a player that is going to give him the best chance to win when he's judged on performance? Do you think the coach get a player to even go through in this year ago? Well, he mentioned not having iPads and technology, but when we talk about tools, what tools are we talking about? So the tools could be a lot of different things. It could be equipment. It could be personnel. It could be a lot of things. Mr. Mystery Mystic, how you doing?
Yeah, man. Greetings, Cranky.
Please substantiate your rationale for what you said.
Yeah, well, I didn't say I'm happy with the coach. I said I'm okay with the coach.
Oh, okay and happy are two different things. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Happy show that you're past the average. Okay means, you know what, I can live with it.
Yeah. So if you think about it, right, we have had a lot of pedigree coaches from Lazzaroni, Bora, Multiminovic, Rene Simoes. When Rene Simoes came to Jamaica, no, I had already migrated. But I heard that people were saying that he's a madman and he needs to go back home. When he started, the team was getting, the team wasn't winning, right?
Right.
I don't follow any other team. I don't have a club team. I just follow Jamaica. But I listen to all of these platforms. And I hear somebody on a platform yesterday. In fact, I hear more than once. The reason why Panama is so successful is that they have, the person used the term continuity, because the coach that they have has been there for 5 years. You can hear me, Cranky? It's all like you.
No, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Yeah. And I don't follow the team, but I think the person alluded to Panama was not doing so well 5 years ago when the coach came in. Now, if we as fans, the Jamaican fan base, we're very impatient, We want instant result. And we don't understand it. It just don't work like that. And let's say, we called for Tapa to go. Well, Tapa was there a long time. And then when Al Grimsley came, we called for him to go. Now, McLaren is here and we called for him to go. McLaren has only lost 4 games out of 17, I think. Right? And when I watch the games, I cannot blame the coach for some of the elementary common sense mistakes and low IQ that these players are exhibiting on the field. Now, when you look at the Panama game that we lost 4-0, was it 4-0 or 4-1?
4-1.
Score a goal?
4-1. We scored a goal, yeah.
If you look at Casey Palmer being responsible for 2 of those goals, right? And you hear the displeasure that the coach had in the post-match press conference. Your players sometimes will let you down as a coach. And I feel like these players let down the coach in some respect. And to the coach's defense, this is what I don't like about some YouTubers. They take one thing and they run with it. They run with the fact that the coach said he didn't know John Russell. He never said he didn't know John Russell, but they put it that way because he said a friend told me. It's like, oh, you talk about magic the other day, and me calling and saying, yeah, man, I know magic. Right?
Right.
I said, boy, Peter, tell me about magic. It don't mean you don't know magic. You know magic and I know magic, but you, in order to substantiate what you're saying about magic, you say, boy, Peter, call in and tell you about magic. You get what I'm saying? So the coach is not that he didn't know John Russell. When the question was asked, he's saying that hey, yes, he's a good player because even my friend called me who watched him in person.
So Peter, I have to stop you right
That's
there.
what I get.
Peter,
That's what I get
so
from
Peter, here's my
Yeah.
view on this. The
Yeah.
decision or the perspective of the coach, not on the players, is not informed by just the John Russell comment. In fact, I even forgot about that comment. It's informed by his constant making decisions, which are head scratchers, by him playing players who you say, but we have better players in that position, right? By us, because here's the thing about the Jamaica football fans and those who follow these YouTube channels. They are knowledgeable about people who play for Jamaica or who can play for Jamaica. It's amazing people. People text me about some persons. I'm like, how the hell you know about that player? Like, really? How you even know he has Jamaican background when he's probably 2 grandmothers down, right? They look at every single angle and perspective of all the players. They know who are good. They know who are not good.
Who are we talking about?
A lot of people in the chat here and YouTubers or people who follow YouTube channels.
I can tell you, Cranky, that a lot of the YouTubers, if you listen, not
YouTubers, I'm talking about people in the chat who follow the players. I'm not talking about YouTubers.
Yeah,
a lot of them, no players, no off players. They text me all the time. They send me videos on players. They send me, I used to get Tyreece Campbell videos. Do you know this? I didn't know Tyreece Campbell. I went and watched him because of people send me videos on him.
Yeah. All right. I get that, right? But what some of these people also do is they take a narrative and they run with it without even doing any research. You know that I called in on JT's platform, I think about a week before we play Guatemala in the World Cup qualifier. JT had about 10 people. I don't know if you know, he runs this program and then he had a whole group of people call in.
Right.
And it's about 10, maybe even more than that, on the chat. That's talking, and that's the only reason I call in, is to let them know, because all of them were saying that Jamaica has to win against Guatemala to avoid, the Costa Ricas and the Panama.
Right.
I had to call in to correct them. It's not the first time I call in to correct a bunch of people who just running with a narrative without doing any research, and they almost cut my throat off. One guy, while I was on the program, went and did his research and said, you know what, Carla, you're correct. And that whole thing died down. The next day, I don't hear nobody say anything about it. It's the same thing they're doing with the coach, with the, I lost my train of thought. What was the last thing? Oh, the tactics. What the coach meant, Cranky, and you're intelligent, you know this. What the coach meant is that it don't matter what tactics or system is out there if the players are not playing with art. That's all he meant to know. You think a coach like Steve McClaren's ilk would say that tactics and system is not important? Come on, you know better.
Right. But here's the thing, Peter. When people don't agree with your tactics, and you say it's not about tactics, it's more about drive and aggressiveness and attitude and commitment, then you're gonna get beaten when you say that, right? If he did it in England, he'd get beaten the same way.
Yeah, but we know that's not what he meant, Cranky. Come on.
But Peter, you cannot assume what he meant. You cannot assume what he meant. He's got to say what he meant.
The man could not have meant that.
See, that's the thing. It's just like me talking about Jesus. Like, how the hell do you believe that, right? It's the same concept. It may seem far-fetched.
When you hear the man talk in that whole press conference and you put it all together, you realize that he was disgusted with the performance.
Now we agree. Yes.
And he was disgusted with one particular player who I agree with you that probably won't see the team. I mean, nobody in there that have any kind of common sense would be flattening over a ball in your defensive third when you have one player behind it. And you have passes. This is dumb. That cannot be the responsibility of the coach. You cannot coach common sense. The only thing that coach can do, don't bring him back in the squad. There were 2 goals that cost us the game, because had he not done that, who knows? I mean, the last goal was late in the game. But the penalty, I think that's when they went up 2-1 or 2-0. It's a critical moment in the game. You're going to pull down a man unnecessarily. And the man was no threat. You had defenders behind you, and the man was going lateral with the ball. It's just silly. And I cannot believe these players who play in these professional league abroad make in these elementary common sense mistakes.
Well, no, I think his tournament. I think his tournament was compounded by by this last game, right? So he was the person to push the cameraman, which is a no. He should be suspended for the rest of the tournament.
There you go again.
He should be suspended for the rest of the tournament. He should not be playing at all.
Right.
That's
Right.
me. That's me. You can't do that.
Yeah,
If you do it, then there's penalty to be paid, and playing one game wasn't it? But I say this though, you can't go in a public domain and say what he says. And he says a lot of stuff and contradicts himself. That's people have no confidence in him. This is a compilation of things, Peter. When you say you got
all our words, Cranky. I don't care what the court said.
No, Peter, listen to me, Peter.
I'm not going to nitpick every quote.
But Peter, it becomes a theme. If you say you can't play in a certain league, you can't play at a certain level, and then you pick someone who plays at a certain level, that contradicts you. Or you say, you know what, this person's not fit because they're not playing enough, and you pick someone who's not fit. This person can play because, you know what, I know them, I'm bringing for experience, and then you bring a person in and I'll give them no experience. We can come up with a book. We can write a book about the coach himself.
But Cranky, when you think about it, the coach, the only thing,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The only thing that the coach did not say when he made those statements, what he should have said and what he probably meant is that there are exceptions to the rule. Because when you're talking about a Ravel is an exception. When you're talking about a Mikel Antonio is an exception. And I know that's what
but he didn't pick Ravel though the first time around. That's the thing, Peter. He contradicts himself by going against his own words that he says. It's not there's wait, they're different between exceptions and you having a pattern of contradictions. A pattern of contradictions.
He brought Ravel to the world what is it? World Cup qualifier, right? He brought Ravel to the World Cup qualifier. He did. And
then he didn't bring him to the Gold Cup.
Well,
he only had two midfielders.
But look, the 60-man squad, you and I know the coach probably picked about 20 or 30 out.
Peter, do you know why Ravel went to the World Cup qualifier? Do you know why?
No, I mean, other than his ability, and the coach realized he needed.
Okay. If that's what you think, then fine. That's what you think. He was left out initially,
Right.
So how he got added? How he got added?
You said the coach had a falling out with him.
Well, I heard that there are some issues because you know how Ravel is. I heard there was an issue when he came from Middle East and coming and playing. That's what I heard. I can't confirm that, right? It's more rumors than anything else. But I'll say this, which is, I was informed that it was some kind of how do I put it? There were other rationale. Let me use euphemism here. Other rationale as to why Ravel got picked, and not because the coach doing and say, you know what, I'm gonna pick Ravel. I heard there were other rationale. That's what I heard.
Okay.
Right? Which then suggests to me he's not the man in charge. Right? If you're in charge, you're gonna run things your way, right?
Yeah, no, but you can't have a dictatorship either, right? He's probably not that kind of a person, right? And he has a coaching staff around him. This is why I think Miran is a bad influence, and I want to see Miran going on. Because I think Miran is too upfront and center. Miran act like he's the one running the team, and I don't like it. Because as far as we know, Miran is supposed to be there to learn. But Miran act too much like he's running things.
But you only can run things. You give the autonomy to run things, right, Peter? If you're in charge, you're the boss, Peter. You're the boss. You have to act like the boss. It's like people talk about President Ricketts. Other people can only assume roles and position if you allow them to, because you're the boss,
right?
So people blame Speed for everything, right? They've been ruled off for everything, basically, almost everything. But there's a person who has the JFF. He's got to take some responsibility.
You know what, McLaren? I think Miran was pretty much kind of the same with Al Grimson as well. If you remember, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it?
No, I think Al Grimson was more. Al Grimson was. You knew Al Grimson was in charge. You knew Al Grimson was in charge. There was no ambiguity about that. There's no doubt about that. He was in charge. And Al Grimson actually, when we played the US, were there? If you look at the teams that Al Grimson picked, you could say there was more meritocracy there. At least from where I sit. And it's not about local versus diaspora. There's more meritocracy there. And maybe because he had players who were like consistently there, and he didn't do a lot of great recruiting to bring a lot of new players, so we didn't see that. Now we're bringing a lot of players than we did before. So it may not be a fair comparison, to be honest. Because when McLaren come, you've seen players coming in, number of players, right? You have Tyreece, you see Modesty get a little try, you see Burrell get, we see more players coming in, and we're going to see more coming in even after that.
Yeah. Well, look, I just think it would be silly of us to try and replace the coach at this point. I think we need to give him the tools. I mean, him going up in the stands, he explained the reason why he does that. And, you know, it's a shame.
Wait. Do you think that was okay,
Yeah.
though? Do you think that was okay for him to do?
You mean the explanation?
No. Do you think it was
Or
okay
him
for him
going
to
up
do
in the
what he did?
stands?
Yeah.
Well, if look, Cranky, if he needs to see the game and he does not have the technology or someone up there, and look, it's another. This begs the other question. When I watch these YouTube videos and I watch the GFF live and you see the players in training and somebody doing an interview with the staff and the players, there's a video analyst there who introduced himself and said, yes, he's a video analyst for the Reggae Boyz. So why is he not the one up in the stands with his tablet relaying information to the coach? That don't make no sense to me, man. You know, that the coach have to go up in a stand to see a bird's eye view of what's happening on the field.
Right.
And the GFF should be ashamed of themselves that this has to happen. And the coach come out and say it, right? Which we know has to be true for him to make that statement. So why we don't give the coach the tools? Mr. Speed came on these platforms and said, if we don't give the coach the tools or we interfere with what he's doing, how are we going to turn around and put any responsibility on him if we don't give him the tools? So why is it the coach don't have the proper tools that he has to go into the stands? You know, these are the things that we need to question. And that's the reason why I'm not that critical of the coach. When I see what the players are doing out there, and when I see these things happening, I think, you know, and you know more than me, there's rumors going around that the coach is probably going to have a different assistant. And you know what, Cranky, it was refreshing when Paul Simpson was there. You know, I saw Paul Simpson on the line, and I saw him, you know, giving the energy to the players. And somebody actually say, you know what, the reason why they say he's doing the talking for Steve. So maybe it's the same thing with Meron. I don't know, but Meron just seemed to me like he's too, you know.
So
you know,
why are you more tolerant of Paul Simpson versus Meron?
Because Paul Simpson know what I'm do. Meron is there to learn, brethren.
But how do we know that
Meron
Meron hasn't learned enough now to contribute? How we? Because we seem to be beating Meron a lot. I'm gonna defend Meron tonight. I get my own beating.
To learn, you stay in your corner and learn. Paul Simpson is a pro license coach who had led England under 21.
Yes.
To you understand?
But I'm just saying, as Meron has not been there about 5 years now, he should have learned something.
Yeah, but it's not his place to go there and act like he's a coach.
But you can't have Paul Simpson act like a coach and an assistant coach, Peter. Yeah, double standard.
Because he's respected and he has the qualification, yes. You can do that. And if McLaren allows him to do that, then fine. McLaren is the one who selected him and brought him in. There's a reason.
All right.
You know, and the players will have more respect for him than they have for Meron. These professional players, they will have more respect for somebody like that, whether we like it or not. You know?
I hear you.
So listen, I'm not knocking the coach the way some of us are. I'm just not doing it. It's time we'll put the onus on some of these players. Leon Bailey dribbling with 4 people around him is just asinine. You know, Cranky, I don't want to let go my age, you know, but I'm not.
Hey, people.
Cranky,
people are afraid of them. People are ashamed of them age nowadays, you know. But I mean, I tell you, right?
Cranky. You see, when I go play some Sunday morning ball, I play with some youngsters and I play with guys my age. You know, you always have some men who play Sunday morning or Sunday evening ball or Saturday morning or Saturday evening ball, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually our age, but you always have some youngsters who come along, right? And so you have a mixture of people out there, right? You have people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and you have some youngsters in their 20s. I don't get that chance because of family commitment. I don't get a chance to play as often. But when I do get a chance to play, every time I go out there, you always have 1 or 2 youngsters come to me and say, Reggie, I like how you play. A lot of the Spanish guys will come to me and say, I like how you play, man. You're a good player, right?
Right.
You know why they're saying that? I just do the simple rotted thing, you know, Cranky. I just control the ball and pass, you know. and move in another
Well,
space.
well, at your age, you couldn't do much. You may have to go to the hospital. I can't even play, so I can't say anything. I can't even play anymore. I don't have needs to play.
But is the football is such a simple game, right? When you
Yes,
look at
it is a simple game.
When you look at Cephas, that should have lay off that ball to Antonio, right? All of them little things, would have make a world of difference because no would have had a better goal average than Guatemala, and we probably would not have been having to chase the Panama game the way we did. These are little simple things that these players, elementary mistake that these players are making that is costing the team. So I can't really blame the coach for all of that. Lay off the ball to Antonio, Bridget. Cranky, if you and I out there will lay that ball after Antonio, goal.
We don't have Cephas brain.
So these are
because Cephas doesn't think he doesn't think that way. But I hear what you're saying, Peter. And think about it. No, Flawed. He's not in Florida anymore. He moved to a good state. He left. Yeah, he left. Weren't you in what's his name state? Weren't you in DeSantis state
for 20-something years, But it's not by choice, The wife wanted to move here. Happy wife, happy life, my brother.
Oh, so she's tired of DeSantis and his nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, we've been here 10 years, so I think we've been here before.
Oh, okay. You went there because you know what? I've been down. I'm gonna be down that region, down your region.
Yeah,
but I like it down there. I must admit, it's growing on me like fungus. It's growing on me like fungus.
Well, if you're coming from New York, you will definitely like it down here. But if you're coming from here, then you definitely like it down Florida.
Oh, okay.
That's the way it is, Yeah, man, I love Florida. A lot of my brethren down there, that's where magic is, and I used to play ball.
So you're in Fort Lauderdale then? Or in that
I used to
region?
be in Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
Okay,
I used to be in that region. Yeah, man.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we need continuity, Cranky. We can't just keep the same people who can't chop and change are the same people who say we must chop and change the coach. We can't do that. We need continuity. And another thing I want to say, one last thing. I hear some people talking about the coach old. And some of these same people talking about the coach old, bigging up Curacao. You know how old Curacao coach is? 77 years old. He's 13, 14 years
But you know the difference, though. He's a much more accomplished coach than our coach. That's part of the issue.
But I'm just saying, we can't.
No, that's true. You're right about. Well, I call him a dinosaur in terms of his tactics or lack thereof.
Right.
Not because of his age, right? There's some people who are older who are very up to date. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were seasoned, but they're very much keeping in line with what's transpiring in today's environment, right? Because if you don't, you're gonna get left behind. Right. And so people I call him dinosaur because of how he operates, not necessarily because he's in his 60s. He's not like 70s like Avocat.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's much younger.
Yeah.
But yet still we say Curacao have a good coach and Curacao this, but Steve McLaren too. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I just think we do a lot of scapegoating too much as Jamaican fans. But yeah, man, I take up enough of your time, Frank.
All right, Peter. Thanks for calling, man. Appreciate it. Bless up. Yeah, man. So that was Peter. Peter has some different views. His view is that we have to continue the coach because changing now is not, I'm a paraphrase, is not the appropriate time. People, if you just came in, since I decided to do a late show, I want you to hit the like button and subscribe to my Balanced View channel. And Peter, thanks for the call. I think it was a good call overall. We may not always agree with some things that you said, but we respect the call and your perspective because it was logical. I mean, the view that we sometime overemphasize certain details or certain granular things that the coach may say, when if we take a step back and look at it, which is true, we beat the coach about certain things where we know that's maybe not what he meant, or we know better, but because you know what, we never really like the coach, so we just beat everything. Because my view is this: when you're at that position and that level and that seasoned, what you say matters and how you say it matters, right? So if you say tactics don't matter, even though Peter may be right about what he meant, which is if you don't have the commitment, if you don't have what he calls the aggression, if you don't have the attitude, if both teams are matched talent-wise, then you may not win. Right? So, yeah. Oh, Lord. Please don't justify Cephas play. Please don't justify Cephas play. When he makes mistakes, let's just say he makes a lot of them. I was in the peak Cephas camp, and I was once CFAS and any 10, you know. And now CFAS not even my 23. Good night. How you doing, Dava?
I listen to the show and just I started taking my take on it.
All right.
All right, so Cranky. All right, so when a team lose, are usually the coach fault, right? And when a team win, are usually the players get the praise. You understand what I'm saying? So from a logical point of view, we can't understand why people that say they want the coach, but we not agree.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We not agree. Because number one, he have a winning record. And you know, and we just I just think underperform in the World Cup. And but at the next thing when I look at Cranky, when we look on the body language of the player them in the World Cup, them not appear to me like as if they're a happy bunch of players, you know.
So I have a question for you, Dub Hub, and all the people in the chat. Don't you believe that the weather was a factor in the players' performances?
But the weather not affect them alone.
I know, but we got to think about what teams they play, right? Most of the other teams don't have the contingent of players that we have, because most of the teams, if you think about Panama, Guatemala, they're in this region, right? They're playing this weather on a regular basis. These kids are not used to it.
No.
Well, wait, let me finish. In the Unity Cup, they ran more. I think somebody was quoting some stats the other day. It was night and day how much they ran. And I watched the game today between Real Madrid and Juventus. They were walking. They weren't playing football. They were playing walk ball. They're playing walk ball, not football. Walk ball. They're walking out the game. Ain't nobody. This heat is dangerous. I'm surprised somebody ain't got no heart attack yet. Hope that doesn't happen. But the weather is a factor. I'm telling you. If you look at how much they ran, kilometers they ran in this Gold Cup versus maybe other Gold Cup or versus what they did in Unity Cup, is night and day. I think the weather is a factor for them, for those kids who come from England.
Yeah, I can see your point, but remember the game.
The game what?
The game they were playing in the evening, like after.
It's still hot. It's still hot. No make no difference. Trust me.
Oh.
Especially Texas. Them shouldn't play no football in Texas night summer. That is cruelty to people. Football should not be playing in summer in Texas. Go ahead, Dub. Sorry.
Yeah, but me, you can't get that.
Yeah, break up, Dub. Yeah, break up.
No, I feel like say we know the coach we forget the coach more tools to make him, you know, do what he do.
So what tools are we talking about? You mean like an assistant coach?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, he suggests that he don't have enough tools, right? The whole concept of the iPads or some tools to be able to get real instant information about what's transpiring in the field seems to have come up in conversation. He mentioned that when Jason Gooner asked him a good question about why he was in the stands versus on the sideline. You know, Jason trying to give the man the answer. Hey, Jason, I beat you about that. You ask him a question and give him the answer. Make him figure out the answer himself. Do like what Amen tell him to do. When you ask him a question, keep no one corner. Make him answer the question. And secondly, the assistant coach thing, I think that was mentioned by Rudolph in his discussion on Maverick Channel. So, yeah. So those are tools.
Right. So, you know, while saying that, Cranky, you know, everybody not in the same. And people have a right to be frustrated. But me just I keep a level head and just you know, I'm not feel the change now. Because every change we're not going to change the player them. We're going to come with the same player. And you know, if we continue and grow with the kind of team them, because we first came out with our way to Bermuda. If we can't go to Bermuda, go win, come at Jamaica, come beat because I think if you coach Jamaica, we can't do that. But I'm not saying I read the coach. Yeah.
So we can beat them without the coach. That's what you say.
So if you coach, suppose you can do that. So I make a Cranky. So I hear you. You know?
All right, man. I hear you.
Yeah, man. Enough respect here.
All right, bless up. Thanks, Double, for the call. All right. So Reggae Boy says, every situation where a player misses the open man is not a mistake. How many times have we seen teammates? Okay. Hey, Reggae Boys, sometimes you don't have to write nothing, you know. Sometimes we just listen. If that's the case, why CFA's hand not up every single time he touched the ball? Or 99% of the time he touched the ball? Why man up in a year? Say, to tell him teammate, them say, he make a mistake. Because every time you see him touch the ball nowadays, you know, he make a mistake. And supposed to play football so with him and straight away, you know, him will forget the ball. That's one big mistake. And I hear that some players are complaining that the YouTubers are too critical of them. Let me tell the players them something. Let me say some people. Everybody who has in a public forum get criticized. Everybody, including yours truly, right? That's a fact of the role you're playing. It happens. People cuss me sometimes, call me some name or something, I don't know about football. Then I call me dunce. I don't know why them like to use that word. So if you don't have self-esteem and confidence, as Reggae Boyz try to beat me earlier about me arrogant, if you don't have self-esteem, the money can destroy your self-esteem. They can call you dunce all the time. So if you're performing well, you're going to get the flowers, right? When Cephas was playing well in the Unity Cup, a peer laudatory comments him get. Or great he was, or wonderful he was. People like Cranky are praise him and say, oh. And before the game come on and beat me about Cephas and say him, tell me. And then Cephas just have a good way of just destroying all that goodwill. All that goodwill. Good evening, Twain. He destroyed all the goodwill by his performance subsequently. And you know that we are all bandwagonists. It's about your last performance. Even 2 minutes get. So if Cephas come and play, even though he's not in my 23 going forward, and play really well, and I'm sure the coach is going to bring him, I'm sure he'll win back the fans. But right now, he's in the doghouse. Because he's playing a bunch of what, you know what? Good night. Hello.
Good night, Cranky.
Good night, Jeremy. How you doing?
We're good, but I'm just at the mark for work. So I finally get a chance to come on. I listen to everybody talk, and one thing we have to learn for us fans is try to respect the next person's perspective, right? We might be, me or disagree with it. You understand?
Yeah.
Let me run through a few points. I was looking at some people talking about we so critical of this coach and this and that, right? And I was just going through some stuff. I was looking at some USA soccer stuff today and some England soccer. Oh, the fans go at the coaches and the team when they lost, right? I was looking at Alex Lala did a thing the other day. Stop, man. He did a thing the other day talking about diversity and the US team and diversity and what they don't need. All they need is just, basically he's saying that they need just American players. He said too much culture, too much language, all divided. Then Eric Ronaldo respond to him, because even him, Abby Wamba say a whole bunch of stuff. Landon Donovan did not like Jermaine Jones and all them. He did not like the German players. And all these kind of revealed. So to say this, to say that, when some people hear some people bash the coach or they say what's on their mind, they run up in their feelings with their thin-skinned ass, you know what I mean? And, everybody has a right to say what they have to say. If people say something and them want to say it, then say it. If you don't like it, fine, you can't say it. But no crying and not trouble the coach. No, we all have our points. Respect somebody else's decision, like I do. You go cry in a corner, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes and like, I don't know if the coach have all the tools, right? I don't know. None of us really don't know what's going on. But this is not unique. This is not just to us. Every country go through this. Every country. Every fans go through this. And so we the fans right now are feeling. I'm not sure what's going on, but I know when the coach come out, he said inconsistency stuff. He's all over the place. And so for them people who are saying, you bash the coach for no reason, it's his actions. Everything is right there.
Right.
And I hope things turn around. I hope that him, the Jeff, everybody can sit down. Because at the end of the day, I'm with the team. Whatever decision they make to keep the coach, I'm with the team. Right? I'm not gonna disrespect, you know what I mean, on my team. No, straight Reggae Boyz. All the way. Finally, Cranky, the players them too, they need to step up and own responsibility. No excuse for them. They need to do better. This is all around thing, bro. But at the end of the day, I am a supporter of the team, love my country, and whatever decision then decide for them to keep the coach or what, we're gonna support it 100%. But when people come out and say something wrong and then talk about it, let people talk, man. They have the right to talk. If they don't like it, understand. But just don't bash everybody who said the coach is wrong and this and that. About football, just come on, man. Just respect people decision, man. It's just simple. Anyway, Cranky, we're going to listen.
No, I appreciate the call, especially coming off work. I hope you have a good evening. Appreciate the call. Look, people, we all have our own opinion about things, right? we should not be beating and bashing someone because their views may differ from ours, right? That's not the right approach to take. In every, I listen to a lot of football, especially in the UK, actually. I should say that. I listen mainly UK football. I listen to how fans talk about their clubs or fans talk about the coach. You rarely ever have consensus. Some people think for my team, Arteta should be fired. Others think he should be retained. He's done a great job. People think he should be given a year to win a title, he should go. People have different, if you look at the spectrum of people who talk about or support teams, there's never ever consensus that I can think of. Even when you win, there's still different consensus. Sometimes people win and they say the coach should be fired because he didn't do X, Y, Z, right? So as Jeremy's saying, the last caller, is that we have to respect each other's opinion, whereby if I believe the coach should be fired and I give my reasons and you think it doesn't make any sense because it's too late in the game, that's a different perspective. And as he also says, which we don't do enough of, but the players complain that they get bashed. And now we're hearing some people say the players own this and they're not getting enough grief from this, right? It's really interesting that the consensus thing I'm talking about manifests itself in different ways, whereby we're talking about the coach a lot, and are we negating to hold the players accountable? Because they're the ones going on and playing, they're the ones not producing. Even if a coach doesn't have the right strategy, doesn't have the right tactics, you still got to go out and execute against the opponent. And these players are seasoned enough to make on-field decisions. And as Peter said earlier, the mistakes made by Palmer are just like the coach making the midfield mistake about picking the number of midfielders. Right? Palmer gave away a penalty which made no sense. Put his hand around the man, and the man run behind him, which is illogical. First of all, he got a one-game suspension. We had no midfielders, and he got a one-game suspension. He was going to play the game he got a suspension for, right? By pushing somebody, a cameraman, for Christ's sake. And then secondly, he went into a game, subsequent game, and gave away 2 goals. Literally gave away 2 goals. And then these players want to complain about a lot of different things when they're making mistakes. And we're not infallible as people. We're going to make mistakes. But he compounded his mistake by his play on the field. And already he was not a fan of a lot of people weren't supportive in his corner. So he did not help himself with his performance or with his behavior. And I heard things about Palmer before that even game transpired, about some other stuff. So some of the players got to take accountability for what they have done. And they got to be accountable for what they have done or not done. And they got to expect to get criticized if they don't play well. It comes with the territory, right? So I don't want to hear the complaint about, look, if you call people derogatory name, that's a different question. If I say, you know what, Cranky's not good at what he does. Cranky, I don't think you're a good host on YouTube. Then say, well, Cranky, you're dunce, you're idiot, you know, no sense. Then that's a little bit more penetrative. That's a little bit more difficult to digest versus someone is telling you that, you know what, the thing they're chosen to do, I don't think you do it well, right? It's a little bit different than somebody tells you, boy, you know, you're an idiot. Because the worst thing you can tell somebody is that they're not intelligent. That's the worst thing you can tell somebody. And we hear that a lot as people. And if somebody want to really get at you, that's the first thing they go to, is your intelligence. And if people tell you you're not intelligent, you look at them and you say to yourself, maybe you're telling me that because you're not confident in your own intelligence. But that's the way people get at you sometimes, about how dumb you are. Now, sometimes we make comments which engender that perspective, to be honest. All of us make comments sometimes. Someone's like, it's not the person that intelligent. They make a comment which you're going to say, you know what, it's like a dumb comment. We can use less toxic language, but it doesn't mean that you're not smart. It means the comment you make is not well received. Yeah, I wouldn't call them dunce, actually. If you don't know something, you just don't know. The question is, do you know what you don't know? That's the question. Because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. That's like Trump doesn't know what he doesn't know. And he doesn't know a lot, frankly. But I shouldn't talk about Trump because I'm going in that direction. So it's almost 12 o'clock. I'm going to close the program down by saying this. First of all, I am extremely pleased with the response I got tonight. In fact, I'm more than pleased. I thought I would get about 15, 20 people. I have a quick show. We talk a little bit, and I'll take my little butt to bed because I'm traveling tomorrow. But it's good that you came on. Now you can do me a favor by doing two things. Well, maybe three things. One is, if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. If you haven't subscribed to my Balanced View channel, because I've been told tonight, Cranky, keep this to sports. Stop letting talk about other things. So if you haven't subscribed to my Balanced View channel, I just dropped the link. Please subscribe. If you haven't shared the channel, please share the channel. And I want to leave you with this, which is, please be respectful of the people you engage with on a daily basis. Now, sometimes we lose our cool. And sometimes we say things we don't really mean, but we say it because we want to get back at the person. But we should also think about this, which is a really interesting thing to think about. How do you manage yourself? Can you pull yourself away from a difficult situation? First of all, can you recognize what situation you're in? It's an argument with someone or something else. So you're in full force of argument with your significant other or with your friend or with a stranger, and it's going in the wrong direction. Can you recognize it while it's happening? Because it's almost impossible to do. It's very difficult. And can you then take a step back, pull yourself out of the conversation, assess the conversation, and move it to a place you want to get to? So I'm saying emotional intelligence is the key, but sometimes you're so emotional, you're not being intelligent. Right? Sometimes you're so emotional, it happens to all of us. But how can you figure out, you know what? In the middle of the conversation, when you're trying to make sure you win the conversation, you want to win you're dying to win. And sometimes it can be physical in some situations, but you can pull yourself out of it and say, you know what? This is going the wrong direction. I need to change the conversation. I need to change the direction of travel. And I need to make sure that this works out well, where it's a win-win situation. Both parties walk away feeling good about themselves. I used to tell this, as I said before, a long time ago, I used to work with a very senior person in a big company. And he always says to me, well, not always, but he says to me a couple of times, which is, even though I have a different way of thinking about this, but he says, because I used to say, well, you know what, if I'm right, what are we arguing about? And he's saying being right, always being right doesn't make you effective. Even though you see, I have a hat which says I'm always right because somebody gave me that hat. But what he meant by that was this. Sometimes you're arguing with somebody else and you know you're right and you know they're wrong, but you want to pound their face into it. Instead of letting them walk away with some dignity, you're like, hell no, I'm right and I know I'm right and they're going to know I'm right. So I'm going to kill them with rightness, I'm going to call it. Versus saying, you know what, I'm going to have some humility and some humbleness. I'm going to say, you know what, let me let them down easy and let them walk away with some dignity. Like, no, I got to totally annihilate them to make myself feel like I'm on top of the mountain and then feel like crap. Versus, I know I won, I know I'm right, but I can let them down easy. So I'm going to leave you with that tonight. And I'm going to try to live the same thing I just said myself, because sometimes I can't pull myself away from the conversation. I have to win. And I beat myself up every day. Sometimes you reflect and say, why did I do that? I know I'm right. I know I won the argument. Why don't I just, you know what? Let the person down easily. And I say this last thing about the coach, which is, coach, put in the work. Coach, put in the work. You can't expect to take up a job, whether you get paid the money you should get paid or not, and work part-time. Not with a football team. Not where so many people are depending on you to deliver. Not when so many people have high expectations, and right now those expectations are not being met. You have to work with the JFF to get the support you need first. But secondly, you got to make better decisions. And hopefully, because if the coach wins, he's going to get the plaudits. He's going to get the laudatory comments. He's going to get the compliments. He's going to get the flowers. There's no doubt about that. But when you lose in any environment, unless you're trying to throw the game like they do in the NBA because they want to finish last and get the best draft choices, then most times you're not going to get any flowers. You're going to get destroyed actually by the media, by the fans, by the administration, by stakeholders. So my suggestion to coaches, put the time in, do the best job, and hopefully it'll be a positive outcome. Thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate you being here. And it's now past 12 o'clock. I don't know you have a life to live and you got to go to work tomorrow because I don't. So I'm going to say good night. I'm not even playing an outro video. You know what? I'm going to play my outro video. What am I saying? I haven't played in a while. Good night, everyone. Peace out. Cranky life is the best to be now. For the best sports talk and it's free, yo. Cranky life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Cranky life, tell them. Cranky life, heed them. Cranky life, want them. Cranky life. From the course to the field, we'll never lose because Cranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Cranky life, tell them. Cranky life, heed them. Cranky life, want them. Cranky life. Cranky life where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Cranky life, get to know the name because Cranky analysis is never lame. Cranky life, give me my Cranky life. I want my Cranky life. Must have my Cranky life. Whether it's football or track and field, you know Cranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Cranky life. Tell them, Cranky life. Heed them, Cranky life. Want them, Cranky life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Cranky Live. Tune into Cranky Live. Like up Cranky Live. Subscribe to Cranky Live. Cranky Live coming to you on weekdays. Cranky Live sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Cranky will always bring the heat. Cranky Live. Me say fi tell them Cranky life. Me say fi heed them Cranky life. On them Cranky life. Cranky life will be around. Cranky life is the best in town. Me say fi heed them. Me say fi want them. Me say fi heed them. Want them, heed them, want them. Cranky life. Cranky life. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them, cranky life, cranky life. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Cranky life, cranky life, cranky. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed them.